This video is sponsored by SimpliSafe. There's no safe like SimpliSafe, and there's no time like the present to get started on our front yard. Well, I'm checking grade out here in front of the house today because we are going to completely destroy our front yard. I hate to do it, but the time is right. The situation has presented itself, and we've been needing to fix this for a long time.
Dig Drive DIY!
So out here in our neck of the woods, it is flat. Every time we get a heavy rain, part of the floodwaters creep into our front yard. And when it does, it brings a lot of field trash with it, mainly corn stalks. Now, we could eliminate this problem by raising up the yard in some places only 3 or 4 inches. It would keep the water and the flood trash in the field, yet it would still be able to drain where it's supposed to drain. Basically, our yard has become a reservoir where the overflow of the field finds its way into his yard, and as the water recedes, the corn stalks stay behind because the prevailing wind pushes them this direction. I could fix the problem if I could smooth out our yard so that it doesn't have any of those valleys that allow the overflow water to come in. This past summer, as many of you know, we dug a pond in the backyard and we generated a lot of extra topsoil. I want to bring some of that topsoil out front here to the yard to try to correct the situation. I need to figure out what is my highest elevation I can establish up by the house, how much fall I have to the road ditch, and where I could fill in lows and valleys in order to prevent the field overflow water from getting into the grass. Up by the house to out here at the road is 6 inches of fall. I know it's fairly flat, but that's what we're dealing with. And this is how low this is. So every time this yard floods, this is how much water comes in here and fills up full of corn trash. So you can see if I raise that up to a nice grade, we'll basically be taking it up to where those rocks are stacked up. We'll eliminate those sedum. And this is how much this needs filled in order to be a nice straight grade. Well, I've checked and I've measured and I've figured and I've thought it's time to just start moving dirt, and I'll figure it out as I go. It always takes a little more dirt than you think too. I'm figuring on 5 or 6 loads out there with this. We'll see how that turns out. I'm gonna head out front. I'll meet you out there. But I hauled in a little bit more dirt, 14 loads. So that's well over 100 ton of dirt. I'm just trying to hold the bucket about 6 inches off of the grass. And then you start in digging and lock the differential. Got a little bit of a tilt going on here, but it's all right. And I don't worry about dumping the bucket every trip forwards and backwards. It's just a lot of wasted time. I leave the bucket full and it kind of acts more like a bulldozer. Really the biggest challenge working with a backhoe instead of a bulldozer for this is you tend to compact the dirt down a lot more as you're driving on it, and then the more you compact it, the harder it gets to cut and work with. So that is a big disadvantage. If I had a dozer, I'd be using it right now for sure. So I spent a few minutes with the backhoe to kind of get a rough idea. It doesn't look like too much. Matter of fact, I'll probably have to bring more in here would be my guess. But this right here is still somewhat rough. It's got some pretty big ridges. But I thought this would be a great test for that Northwoods fabrication, the 6-foot box with a 755. I know that I couldn't do this with Bruno and the little box just because these ridges are so big and I'd be spinning out. But this is definitely going to be pushing the limits. But I don't know, let's try. Big hill. It's not too bad, but I still got some grading to do. I would have been better off to get it leveled up a little bit more first. But that knocked down the ridges. You can walk around out there without tripping. Okay, I gotta deal with this landscaping a little bit. So this has got to get filled up with dirt up to our orange dots. That's our grade. So all this over here is pretty low, and it's always traditionally been floodwaters will creep up into here. So I'm gonna raise that up to where those rocks are, and these sedum have to come out. These sedum will grow anywhere. They're really hardy and really good. They're really nice looking and really easy to grow. Actually gonna rake back a little bit of this mulch, and then we'll be able to fill this in, get her all leveled up. It's Saturday morning, and today is gonna probably be one of the busiest days I've had in the last several months. To prepare for today, I started yesterday. I went and got the straw mats that I was gonna need to put down. Now we've decided to do straw mats that unroll out around the pond, especially because loose straw I was fearful would just blow into the hole, down into the water. And so that's why we decided to go with straw mats. They're easier to work with, and I think the mess will be less. Then I went to my cousin's and I picked up a cedar. This cedar is all that my 755 wants. So again, I have a reason for wanting to use this cedar, because normally I just broadcast grass seed on and then work it in with a spring tooth drag. Since we're going to be working around the pond up next to the sidewalk and the concrete, I didn't want to broadcast seed or fertilizer inside of the pond. Plus I'm working right up against the field in a lot of this too, and I'd be projecting a lot of seed into the field as well. So the cedar is a better choice for controlled seed placement, and now I won't be throwing anything into the pond that I don't want to be there. I also want to move this giant dirt pile out of here. I want to be able to seed where the pile is. I'm going to stockpile it over at my neighbor's, and so in order to do that, we need to bury an old foundation that was there from a barn that got taken down, and then we're going to move this topsoil pile over there where the foundation was, and I can kind of store it for later use, because I have a project maybe a year down the road that I think I'm going to want the topsoil for. But I got to go start grading again and get things rolling. Finally ready to start putting down some seed. But before I can do that, I got to fertilize. So we're fortunate to live out here in the country where there's very little going on, but recently there has been some word of break-ins at the neighbors, and that causes me concern because I want to make sure we keep things safe, and I got two little girls to keep a look after too. So that's why when Simply Safe reached out to me, I thought it looked like a good fit. I wanted a better security system for here at our place. It's good peace of mind to know that when you're not here, somebody is still looking out for your house and your stuff. What intrigued me about the Simply Safe system is how easy it is to install. They give you all this stuff. It comes with a centralized base station, and you pretty much start there, and then you can add different components to it based on the needs that you have or the services that you want for them to provide. For example, not only do they have cameras, but they have freeze monitor protection, they have water damage protection, they've got entry door sensors, all this stuff that is important to me. I don't want the basement flooded. I don't want the garage sink to get frozen in the wintertime, and those are things I've actually fought before. This will be a good way to protect against that. Plus, they have 24/7 live guard protection. The Simply Safe agents, they're ready to spring into action, keep you safe, and they'll assess the situation. They'll contact you, dispatch first responders. Even if you're unable to respond, somebody's watching for you. And that's the point I like. I want to be on vacation, not worried about reacting to every notification on my phone. So they've also got a new smart alarm indoor wireless camera, which looks to be really cool because they can integrate that with the 24/7 protection. And in real time, they can actually speak to the intruder and try to stop whatever's going on in real time. They can alert the authorities and pretty much tell them, hey, get out of here. So with Simply Safe's combo of advanced sensors, cameras, and monitoring technologies, it gives you peace of mind that who and what you care about most is protected. So unlike a lot of other plans in there, Simply Safe never locks you into a long-term contract. For less than $1 a day, you can have the full 24/7 protection. Of course, this is a DIY channel, and I was able to install all this stuff myself. It's really easy, by the way, but professional installation is available. Save 20% on your system, and your first month is free when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Thanks to Simply Safe for helping us out with this week's video. Now, let's get back to work. So this is a little Brindley. It's a drop spreader aerator combination thing. So that we aren't spreading a bunch of fertilizer where we don't want it, we'll just try this thing and see how it works. So this is a 1420-4 turf fertilizer. It's 14% nitrogen, but it'll release it hopefully slowly over time.
Okay, so this obviously opens a little door in the bottom that lets the fertilizer fall through. And then when you let it down with this here, and the tines will engage the ground. They turn a little chain that's connected to a flap in the bottom of the spreader that helps keep that stir rated. You don't want it to spread very much. It's got to be slow release here. Like, this has got to go a long ways is what I'm trying to say. I've used up probably half the fertilizer and I haven't turned it on. I forgot to open the gate. So it's coming out of there without me even opening it up. See, there's nothing here. Nothing. And then look over here. See all the black? Can you see those black prills? They're called prills. So I'm getting a pretty good rate without opening the gate. I'm afraid to open it now. I'm not going to open it. I'm going to do the whole thing like I'm doing it, then I'll change it up, I guess. Okay, I also did a little repair up here in front of the house. I hated to do this because it's going to be all mud, but there was 2 trenches that had settled through here. So I filled in the trenches and I graded this whole area out. There's just enough fertilizer left in the spreader to do this. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but I figured on 19,000 square feet. Measured the area around the pond and out front, 19,000 square feet, but I didn't figure this, and I also did a spot behind the barn, so we'll see how we come out. So for the 19,000 square feet, they gave me 3 bags of seed and 2 bags of fertilizer. It seems light on fertilizer, but I don't know, it seems to be going pretty good without even opening it. Well, the day got away from me and I didn't get as much done as I thought I would yesterday, but fortunately we have today. They were calling for rain. That was the urgency of my rush, and now it doesn't look like rain. So let's get this straw out there and see how that all unwraps or unrolls. So each one of these straw mats or these straw blankets are 900 square feet. They're 8 feet wide and 113 feet long. It's more expensive to go this route, obviously, than just buying bales of straw and spreading it, but I think this will be easier and better for trying to keep stuff from blowing around all over. We're gonna give this a try. I've used straw mat before, straw blankets. When I did excavating work, we did a lot of DNR work, soil and water conservation stuff, and it's really, really handy. It's a lot faster than using straw bales. But you gotta staple it down too. I'll show you that. We're gonna start right here and just roll through the ditch and then make this one straight with the corn. You're gonna have more time invested in the packaging than the unrolling, I think. Caleb would be proud of me for putting out cones. Okay, so they unroll a particular way. Right there's the start. Let's pick it up and put it right where we want to start it. Leave the orange. Okay. Yep. Let's go your way a little bit. Okay. All right, now to secure these down, you use this staple right here. We got boxes of them. This is different than what I used to use. When I was doing this, we had like an actual stapler machine that you stood upright and you pushed it down, it spring loaded, and it drove a regular staple. But this has a round end on it. They got these pretty rudimentary drivers here. It's like got a magnet on it. So you load up your staple like that. And I assume you just go like this.
would you want to stand in the middle? You can lay that down off to the side. There's these strings that kind of hold it together, and sometimes they get kind of caught up, and it would help if you maybe pushed it out a little bit.
Here, I'll do it. You go ahead and grab the next roll. We recruited Dad even. Huh? Don't you know any better than to come over here? Kara has been working all week to water the front yard. We did this last weekend, and now we're getting this dirt trucked out of here behind the pond. The old general is back to help out. We're going to try to get this dirt moved over to my neighbor's house where we had to bury the barn, bury the foundation, and I've got things leveled up as best I can with the backhoe. They don't look too bad, but I want to get it smoothed up just a little bit more before I start hauling in my topsoil. My topsoil I'm going to stockpile for later use, but we're also going to use it to kind of give this a top coat of good dirt. And we're just going to go out here and do some circles and see if we can get this leveled up. Well, that looks really good. It's shaped up nice. This box works good once you get the hang of it. Like I said, it's not as quick up and down, but if you just slow down, you'll get it done. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to head back home, and we're going to start hauling dirt tomorrow morning. That dirt pile felt like it had been there a long time, but only just a few months realistically. But glad to have that moved and out of the way. Now I'm going to do my final grading around this corner, and we should be ready to get this fertilized, seeded, and strawed around the pond. Then we will be needing water. Okay, I'm going to do a little grading with the 755 and the Northwoods 6-foot grader box. Then I might have to use Bruno and my 5-foot box to do the final touch-ups. All right, so we have spent the last 2 hours trying to get everything graded up and looking really nice. Now Dad is doing the fertilizer duties. Fertilizing is done. Time for seeding. This is like putting on paint after you've done a whole bunch of body work. It's all about the prep, and then you see these little clods and stuff. When I did the front yard, I covered everything twice, and that's what I'll do back here too. So I want to get it all covered once first, and we'll go back over it. Okay, we are hoping this is our last day of seeding and strawing, and then it'll just be all about the watering, which we don't have yet either. So we're going to start rolling out these mats. It's going to be interesting to see how well they do around the curve. Calling all children. The cats probably aren't going to help.
They're gonna help so much.
These guys were a tremendous help in the front yard. They got the stapler trick down pat. So I'm gonna rely on you guys to get that done. Mom and I will start rolling out the carpet. We'll have to start, we'll pull it back and then trim this corner. This helps keep the moisture in. So when you water it, the straw helps keep it wet. And that's the biggest reason, really. Birds could get, that helps keep the birds out, keep the cats out. Well, the straw mats were just a little bit tricky around the circular shape, the curves of the pond. But overall, I still think this was a really smart move. That netting that encases the straw, it's got netting on both top and bottom, that'll really keep from that straw blowing into the pond. And that's what we wanted back here. It's a little bit more expensive. If you're curious, those straw mats are about $40 a roll. So it's a lot more expense than straw, but it's a lot cleaner, and I think the overall job that it does is really effective too. I'm curious about those metal spikes that we put in. So you put the metal spikes in to hold the straw netting down, the straw mat, and supposedly they just rust away over time, but it feels weird to be putting those in your lawn, and especially around the pond. I hope they don't prove to be a problem in the grass around the pond. I can only imagine though, once the sod gets established, it'll grow over the top of them, and I doubt you'll even be able to know that they're there. At least I hope not. We wouldn't have been able to do this without our parents' help today too. That was a huge help, especially the way we had to work it around that curve. So thanks so much to Mom and Dad and my in-laws, Rick and Dolores. So the only thing left is some water. Please send water. It's been the driest summer in recent memory, And hopefully we get a little fall rain here, not only to fill up the pond, but to also get this grass established around the outside. So I want to thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope that you liked it. If we're lucky, we'll see you back here the next time. Take care. September 23rd, 80 degrees, and they're in the pond. Love it.